I can say to my new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, hey, find a keto-friendly restaurant nearby and text it to Beth and Steve. And it does without me lifting a finger, so I can get in more squats anywhere I can. 1, 2, 3.
Will that be cash or credit?
Credit. 4.
Galaxy S25 Ultra, the AI companion that does the heavy lifting so you can do you. Get yours at Samsung.com. Compatible with select apps. Requires Google Gemini account. Results may vary based on input. Check responses for accuracy.
Attention Ditto Heads. Attention Bo Scouts.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
It's time for the Soul of Excellence.
He is a radio host at 77 WABC here in New York.
The Rush Hour is on the air.
Rush.
Now here's Bo Snerdley.
Welcome, my friends, to the Monday. Yes, it's Monday again edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. If you would like to be on the program this afternoon, 800-848-9222 is how you reach us, 800-848-9222. Much of what concerns the political landscape across this great nation of ours is happening inside courtrooms. We have, as we have been discussing these past few weeks, so many nationwide injunctions that have been issued by radical left-wing, in some cases, judges. In some cases, I'm not ready to say that every single lawsuit that has been filed is by a radical left-wing judge, but you can tell some of them really are. This afternoon, shortly before the program began, Judge Boasberg, who was at the center of the controversy surrounding Donald Trump's promise to make America safe again by deporting illegal immigrants, in many cases sent here to terrorize American citizens, to prey upon American citizens with all sorts of criminal behavior. That foreign policy, and that is what it is. These people are coming in an organized fashion from foreign nations, whether they be organized criminals or actors of the government. U.S. District Court judge who thinks he should control the foreign policy of the White House, James Boasberg, refused to end his ban on the deportation of Venezuelan gang members under the Alien Enemies Act. An appeals court is going to hear the administration's case later this afternoon, or it may be ongoing right now. Judge Boasberg wrote that the court need not resolve the thorny question of whether the judiciary has the authority to assess this claim in the first place. That is because plaintiffs are likely to succeed on another equally fundamental theory before they may be deported. They are entitled to individualized hearings to determine whether the act applies to them. So he's already saying it doesn't matter. That he should not even be hearing this case because guess what? His view is that these illegal aliens have a right, no matter what anybody else says, to a hearing, even though the courts have no right to intervene on this if the Enemies Act, is followed. He says, as the government itself concedes, the awesome power granted by the act may be brought to bear only on those who, in fact, are alien enemies. So he's taking issue with Donald Trump declaring these enemies of America who come here illegally. He's taking issue with the fact that the president dared to use a statute that was designed for the purpose that the president is using it for. He's usurping the power of the presidency, saying that executive power doesn't apply. The president believes he can use it, but I believe otherwise. He wrote that because the plaintiffs in the case argue that they are not members of Tren de Agua, they may not be deported until the court has been able to decide the merits of their challenge. So these are people here illegally, and some that the administration has said are here illegally. And the Trump is saying, well, they're saying, no, I'm not a member of the gang, and therefore we can't do anything. We have to bend to the will of the illegal immigrants who, nor may any members of the provisionally certified class be removed until they have been given the opportunity to challenge their designations as well. He says that Trump's invocation of the Alien Enemies Act implicates a host of complicated legal issues, that despite the president's determination otherwise, Tren de Agua is not a foreign nation or government. And they don't have to be a foreign nation or government, is what my understanding is. This is on appeals. So we will see whether the appeals court agrees with that assessment or not. And if the Supreme Court does. Meanwhile, Congress is getting in the act. We shall see if this stalls, because, of course, even if Congress is successful in trying to rein in some of these district judges, the matter still has to be taken up in the United States Senate. Now, interestingly enough, my friends, it is in Wisconsin, I believe. No, I'm sorry, of all places, not Wisconsin, Montana. In Montana, this issue of judges is coming up. And it is there, and this is a really interesting case. Montana lawmakers had banned gender-affirming care for minors, only to have the law blocked by a Missoula County district judge. So it's kind of mirroring what's happening on the federal level on the state level. You had a local district judge there after the legislature acted to ban gender-affirming care. A Missoula County district judge says no, can't do it. At the same time, another judge in another county ruled that the state's support of the fossil fuel industry had violated the public's right to a clean environment. So because they are still using fuel, which energy we all use, and some leftists don't like fossil fuels, even though the laws were the laws, a district court out there locally steps in and says, no, can't do it. I'm siding with the environmentalists. And these were upheld by the Montana Supreme Court. Republicans are taking action out there. The Montana legislature is now waiving multiple bills about the judiciary, who gets to sit on the courts, etc. These courts, by the way, what they're going to do now is put the matter for judges up for elections. They're not elected in that case. So now people will have to actually run for office, one of the most liberal courts in the nation, out there in Montana. So now what they're proposing in the House out in Montana is to make these guys run for office, guys and gals, of course. And a whole host of other measures to bring the judiciary under control. Meaning to stop this left-wing activism from the courts. This is happening at a local level in Montana. It can happen. Jim Jordan was on Fox News discussing what is happening in the House. That would be cut to Carlos. And let's just check in for a minute and listen to what Jim Jordan has to say about where we are with the judges.
The number of injunctions against George W. Bush was 6. Obama had 12. Trump 1.0 was 64. Biden 14, already Trump 2.0, 15. Why has the Supreme Court, so far as I know, never ruled on this case of a district judge stopping a national decision?
Yeah, it may happen here sometime soon, but what we're trying to do is take legislative action. 2.5 weeks ago in the Judiciary Committee bill, we passed legislation which said instead of these federal district judges issuing an injunction that applies to the entire country, we think it should be limited to the parties of the case in that respective jurisdiction. It's Congressman Ice's bill. It's a good piece of legislation. We passed it 2.5 weeks ago. Speaker Johnson's indicated he'd like to get this bill to the floor next week and move it through the process. So we think there's some things that we can do legislatively. And then, frankly, there's the broader issue of all these judges' injunctions and then decisions like Judge Boasberg, what he's trying to do and how that case is working. We're going to have hearings on all of that because particularly when you look at Judge Boasberg, it starts to look like this is getting totally political from this guy, particularly when you remember he's also the judge who was part of the whole Trump-Russia FISA court granting those warrants that allowed the Comey FBI to spy on President Trump's campaign. So we're going to look at that issue as well. But hopefully we can get that bill passed next week on the House floor, move it to the Senate, hopefully get it to the president's desk.
What do you think you're going to find here? It seems to me like it's pretty black and white. You know, you go, you find the judge that's going to rule in your favor, and it's been going on for 20 plus years.
Yeah, that's why we want to limit it to just that jurisdiction, just the parties of the case, so it doesn't have nationwide implications. But yeah, there's the way the left operates. They go to these judges and they go after President Trump, as the speaker indicated, disproportionately more there than elsewhere. But with Judge Boasberg, think about this. I mean, I think the president, with his order on these gang members sending him back, or sending him to El Salvador, I think constitutionally he's on solid ground. Article 2, Section 1, first sentence. Executive power shall be vested in a president of the United States. Statutorily, the Alien Enemies Act, predatory incursion. That's certainly what this was. Gang members coming here illegally doing terrible things. And then finally you got this judge saying this crazy decision. Turn the plane around, bring the bad guys back to America. That makes no sense. So when you look at all that, coupled with this judge's history with the FISA court, with the sentence he gave to Kleinsmith, the lawyer, Kevin Kleinsmith, who altered the document in front of the FISA court, it really starts to look like Judge Boasberg is operating purely political against the president. And that's what we want to have hearings on, this broad issue and some of what Judge Boasberg is doing. And so we're going to start those next week, and we think Senator Grassley is going to do the same.
Well, I hope so, but it's not enough just to have hearings. Republicans have had endless hearings about endless things, and the hearings and the hearings and the hearings and the hearings produce absolutely nothing. It's time for results, not just more hearings. I love Jim Jordan. You guys know that, but guys and gals know that. But I'm done with these. And we're going to have hearings. We're going to have, well, the time for hearings is past. Have your hearings, but actually commit to moving and put this on the agenda. If Democrats in the Senate want to block this, if there were rhinos who want to block it, expose them. But let's stop just leaving with we're going to have hearings. Push this as an agenda item. And make it an important agenda item so it doesn't get lost in the shuffle. James Golden. 2013, on this day, American songwriter, record producer Deke Richards passed away. He was a member of the Klan, C-L-A-N, not that other Klan, and the Corporation. If you look at the song credits, the writer credits on the singles, from this one, from the Jacksons, ABC, The Love You Saved, you would find you would find The Corporation. Well, he was one of the writers for The Corporation. Also involved and co-wrote Love Child for the Supremes. And he produced the Jacksons on these early records for Motown. Deke Richards passed away this day, 2013. The music, of course, lives forever. James Golden. Snerdley. Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. Don't go away.
Rush. This is the Rush Hour with Bo Snerdley.
Bo Snerdley.
On 77 WABC.
This episode is brought to you by Prime Video. In the small town of Holland, Michigan, nothing is ever what it seems. Behind the tulip festivals and pretty houses lay dark secrets that threaten to tear a marriage apart. Nicole Kidman stars in this darkly twisted thriller about a wife and mother whose quest to uncover her husband's secrets may get her more than she bargained for. Holland, streaming on Prime Video, March 27th.
Hey, what's up? It's Wanda Sykes. I'm here to remind you about something super important, getting your breast screened. Because trust me, your breast health should be a priority. Early detection for breast cancer can change the game, which is why you should visit yourattentionplease.com to learn more. And do me a favor, if you've already had a breast cancer screening, remind your friends and family to visit yourattentionplease.com too. We gotta look out for our girls.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with Bo Snerdley.
We're underreacting. We need to be rioting, not protesting. We need to be, burning to the ground. Somebody needs to be a hero. Somebody needs to be a hero. We'd all think you were rad. Be a hero.
Yeah, get on the Democrat Party love train, burn things down. You know what they say. You know what they're asking for when they say someone needs to be a hero. We all know it is coded language for they want a certain person to be murdered. 1973. On this day, the OJs were at number 1 on the United States of America single charts with this one. Love Train. The sound of Philadelphia in your ears. James Golden, Snerdley with you here, Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. Okay, so let's quickly go to cut one. Carlos, just do it. Just do it.
63%, according to the latest Fox News poll, say that they favor deporting those immigrants. So that's a pretty high number. Can you square that with what we just heard from Priscilla's reporting?
Yeah, I think that obviously the president has kind of blanketed the airwaves with saying that all of these people deported are criminals. And given the fact that we, reporters like Priscilla, we have very limited information to who exactly has been deported. The government has not handed over names. I know CBS got a hold of a list of names, but that hasn't been provided to those who are asking for who was actually deported. And there is a difference between someone who came into the country illegally versus someone who overstayed their visa. That's not a crime. Versus someone who has no criminal record, no criminal history. Mm-hmm. And based on my reporting, based on clearly Priscilla's reporting, there are some Venezuelan nationals whose family members, whose lawyers say that they were deported who have no criminal record, who have no criminal history, that they legally applied for asylum or were trying to gain status, where some of them were in the middle of proceedings, and then they were deported.
Yeah. And by the way, if you're wondering, I mean, she said a line in there. She said, overstaying your visa is not a crime. It is a civil offense. And if you overstay your visa, good luck trying to ever become permanent resident or anything else. Anyway, we got to take a little quick break here. We're coming back. So much more. The president held a cabinet meeting today. We have some of the cabinet secretaries reporting to the president on their progress. Those reports, my friends, are totally 100% downright indisputably awesome.
Rush. This is The Rush Hour with Bo Snerdley.
Bo Snerdley.
On 77 WABC. It's The Rush Hour with Bo Snerdley.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
Rush. Now, here's Bo Snerdley.
Ladies and gentlemen, a Jasmine twin spin.
Let's talk first about this session, some of your goals. Is there anything you're trying to pass? How much of it is going on offense? How much of it is going on defense, trying to stop the Republicans?
Trying to pass? No. I should probably be a better politician and tell you, yes, we've got all this amazing legislation that I can absolutely imagine Donald Trump signing into law, and I'm just not gonna lie. I think that right now it is about preserving our basics and getting back some of the norms that make sure that people have food on the table, the norms that make sure that people aren't going through any extra layer of stress when it comes to figuring out education for their kids. So right now, I can tell you that unfortunately, I am not working towards very much that I would consider being the progress train. I am working to make sure that I can minimize the regress train right now. And I think, and I hope that my district appreciates that I am being honest with them.
To them, the trans kids that want to play the sports, Lord have mercy, that is the biggest issue that we had. Since when? Since when? Find the little trans child that is ruining your life. Like, I mean, I'm just like...
What is it? What? Okay. Here's your Jasmine Twin Spin, ladies and gentlemen. 1938 on this day, Don Covey, American rock and roll and R&B soul singer and songwriter, was born. His most successful records, Mercy Mercy, Seesaw, and of course, this one, which won a Grammy for the Queen, Aretha Franklin. Don Covey passed away in 2015. Every time this day comes up, I remind people, because it just triggers me, and I say, I went to school with Don Covey's, two of his children were in my class for many years. They were twins, Wendy and Wanda. Wanda and Wendy. They were twins, and they're beautiful, and their mom, so beautiful. Yvonne Covey. Also on this day, 1985, the two Phils, Philip Bailey and Phil Collins, number one on the charts with this one. Kind of like if you look at it in band terms, it would be Genesis meets Earth, Wind, and Fire. But since they were both solo artists, by that point, it's just...
So Philip Bailey was on Earth, Wind, and Fire?
Philip Bailey, yeah, Earth, Wind, and Fire. He's the second. He and Maurice shared the lead vocals with Earth, Wind, and Fire. And, of course, Phil Collins, Genesis. Phil Collins. Philip Bailey. And it is such a fun video watching them together. Phil, of course, produced it and also played the drums on this one, as well as the vocals, of course. It won the MTV Video Music Award for Best Overall Performance. 1985. Your phone calls are coming up. All right, Congress did their thing. We covered that with the law. Now, the cabinet. Okay, Carlos, we're going to run them down. Let's just go back to back to back. Let's start off with Lee Zeldin and his report to Donald Trump. We're going to do these for the next 2 days because there were more coming. I didn't want to do the whole show with these because they're enough. They're great. Just listen.
PA has now canceled over $22 billion worth of contracts. $2 billion going to this NGO that Stacey Abrams was tied to. They received only $100 in 2023. And then the Biden administration gave them $2 billion. The director of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund saw his former employer get $5 billion. So $20 billion went to just 8 NGOs, and they're all pass-throughs. And then they were giving it to other entities. Many of them were pass-throughs. And what you have is all these extra middlemen. They're taking their cut. And the taxpayer ends up getting screwed. They're losing out on all this hard-earned money They can't afford to have the federal government waste. The partnership with Doge and Elon Musk has been incredible at EPA. Their team is very talented. We wouldn't have been able to do it without them. And of course, this mandate from President Trump to make sure that we identify every last penny, whether we're saving $50,000, $5 million, or $22 billion. We will not rest until every last penny is saved. Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity to do this for the American public.
Now let's go to Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins and her report to the president. That would be 8. Carlos, cut number 8. This is the Agriculture Secretary, Brooke Rollins.
I think the first thing that's really remarkable to note is that the prices of eggs under the 4 years of Joe Biden increased 237%. 237% in those 4 years, and yet it wasn't covered in the press at all. No one talked about the price of eggs in the summer of last year, for example, from the media. So, of course, the president wins and he is inaugurated, and the next day everyone is yelping about why the price of eggs are so high. So it was certainly one of many, many issues we took on under the 4 years of Joe Biden. We had the cost of input go up 30% for all of our agriculture products. At the same time, the trade deficit increased $49 billion. So it was zero under the first Trump administration. And then under Joe Biden, we sold $49 billion less of our ag products around the world. Then you combine that with the avian bird flu. And I know I've talked to a lot of you in the press on this over the last 3 or 4 weeks. But listen, here's the deal. The president, under his vision and support, we released about a month ago a very significant plan on how to bring the price of eggs down. It included 5 prongs. I won't go into it now because I don't want to bore everyone. But since that day, since we released that plan regarding biosecurity, repopulation, importing eggs, research, and then deregulating, taking those onerous rules off of our farmers, our egg-laying farmers, since that time, the price of eggs, the wholesale price of eggs, has come down 53%. So we're going to keep working on it. Listen, it's not something you solve overnight. Avian bird flu and some of the other animal diseases, we're working across the government, several partners out in the cabinet on that, especially my friend Secretary Kennedy over at HHS. But we have a long-term solution, but at least for now, in the short term, thanks to President Trump and so many that have worked so hard, the price of eggs are coming down, as well as the price of groceries. So thank you, sir, for the opportunity to lead on that.
Now let's cut 9, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Folks, I still haven't played some bites that we got 2 weeks ago that I'm still trying to find a way to bring to your attention, because this Treasury Secretary is nothing short of brilliant, genius level brilliant. Listen to his report this afternoon in the cabinet meeting with President Trump.
We are, under your direction, we're reprivatizing the economy. We're bringing down government spending. We're bringing down excess employment in the government sector. On the other side, we're going to re-leverage the banking system. We're going to have all the new manufacturing jobs, so everyone who's laid off from the government will have an opportunity to go into the private sector, and that is going to lead to disinflation. Inflation is under control. We're going to get the affordability crisis fixed. So lower energy, deregulation, more private sector jobs that will naturally get interest rates down. Mortgage rates are down almost every week since January 20th. The energy costs are down about 15%. Crude oil's down about 15%. And as we keep that going, interest rates are going to keep declining. It'll be good for mortgages. It'll be good for credit card debt. It'll be great for auto loans.
This is astounding, what is happening in the economy. And each one of these things, privatizing it while at the same time downsizing government, expanding the private sector so that the people who are laid off from government can find opportunity in the private sector, and at the same time making sure that the cost that people experience in the energy sector and others are going down. This is a well thought out. This is not flying off the seat of your pants, coming up with making it up as you go along. What is happening today in the economy is extremely well thought out. And these are brilliant people that are pulling the levers here of government. Let's now move to the Interior Secretary, Doug Burgum. Don't forget, Doug Burgum is one of the billionaire crew since they're so hated among the left. But he has a track record of being a sound, smart businessman, not so much an ideological conservative, but a good businessman. This is the Interior Secretary's report to the President of the United States today.
There's a federal consulting group, which was a group inside of Interior, but it was managing contracts from many different agencies that flowed through here. One of those contracts was to do surveys of individuals, $830 million for surveys. And so part of the question was, hey, could we actually see the surveys? And then the surveys came back, and a survey was like 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper with 10 questions that anyone's child in junior high could have put together, or AI could have done for free. $830 million. So that's one that we've stopped. And that contract was going out after you were inaugurated, sir. So it was jumping.
It's a fraud.
Yep.
It's a fraud.
These numbers, folks, I mean, we hear the numbers, but do we really hear the numbers? Over $800 million going in to surveys, a one-page, what he described is a regular piece of paper that comes out of your printer, one page, with 10 questions that could have been generated by AI for free, and the government was paying a consulting firm who hired them. Where does that money go? How much do they donate back to the Democrat that hired them? Over $800 million to do worthless surveys. That's his report. Now, Donald Trump is recapping part of the meeting, and we have other secretaries and other members of the cabinet that we want to bring to you. But here's President Trump today.
We had a very, very good cabinet meeting. We're on our way to some tremendous numbers. I think, first of all, many companies are now moving into the United States. They're coming back. Some of them left us from many years ago, decades ago, and they're all coming back. We have probably identified maybe $4 trillion worth of companies moving back or going to move back. Many of them have announced it's going to be tremendous jobs, high-paying jobs too. And you probably know the chip business, not because of the CHIPS Act, which was a disaster. You gave billions of dollars to companies that already have many billions of dollars. They said thank you very much. It was no incentive for them to use it. But what is good is the tariffs will make it so that they want to come back. That's why they're coming back. I think they're coming back because of the election that took place on November 5th and because of the fact that they have to come back because the tariffs are forcing them to come back. And remember, there are no tariffs if you build here, and that's a big factor. So we have record numbers. Howard was just telling me the numbers that we're talking about are crazy, beyond anybody's wildest expectation. So they'll be doing a lot of building, all sorts of businesses, including the basics of automobiles. We have, as you know, Honda is coming in with a massive plant to Indiana, but there are many plants that are happening, and literally some are started already. General Motors is already redoing plants that were half abandoned, or they have plants that weren't being fully utilized. They're going to be they and others are going to be making parts and other things in those plants so that it's one-stop shopping finally. It's ridiculous. You had to go to Mexico. You had to go to Canada. A car went all over the place. It was like, I don't know how that would have worked, but that's the way it sort of ended up. We had a deal, and we have a deal. It's fine, but people took advantage of the deal. They cheated. And when you cheat, the deals are unfortunate. But now what's happening is the numbers are beyond our wildest expectations.
And this adds to the number. This came today. Here's a CNBC report. Very briefly.
South Korean auto giant Hyundai will announce a $20 billion investment in the United States when its chairman visits the White House today. Sources say that pledge includes $5 billion set for a steel plant in Louisiana with plans to hire 1,500 employees and produce next-generation steel for Hyundai and Kia cars. That move comes after similar investment commitments from SoftBank and chipmaker Taiwan Semiconductor earlier this year.
And my friends, it has begun. Indeed. Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. This is a group that went through a lot. It was Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, one of the longest. And then it was Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes featuring Teddy Pendergrass. But this, of course, one of their big ones from 1974, if you don't know me by now. Harold Melvin passed away on this day in 1997. Again, Philadelphia, the sound of Philadelphia. And this voice, of course, is Teddy Pendergrass. Also on this day, Dreams, Fleetwood Mac, released from their 11th studio album, Rumors, 1977. That album went to number 1. James Golden, Snerdley with you here. Coming back, your calls.
Rush. This is The Rush Hour with Bo Snerdley.
Bo Snerdley.
On 77 WABC.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with Bo Snerdley.
Rush.
Oh, my goodness. It's Wawa. Lee Oscar was born on this day. Lee Oscar, harmonica player for War. We made an executive decision. Billy Stewart's birthday, the late Billy Stewart, is today, too. But we're not going to play Billy Stewart. We're going to hold it. And then on the first day of summer, we're going to play Summertime in its entirety with the late, great Billy Stewart. Carlos already put it in his phones. We just hope that he, God willing, we're all here and we all show
we
up.
never know.
We never know what happens. But Wawa! James Golden, Snerdley, it's time.
James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley, presents Rapid Phones.
Let's start with Joseph in New York City. Joseph, how are you this afternoon?
Fleetwood Mac Dreams, every 5 p.m. in the afternoon. Joe Biden is already sleeping in his Mickey Mouse slumber pajamas.
You know what? And Joe Biden wants to get back into politics. He wants to help the Democrats fundraise, but I don't think they're having him. Princess Di says Chuck Schumer is going to be out relatively soon. Today there was a story, didn't have time to get to it. Hakeem Jeffries is also coming under attack. The Democrat, because of, these people want action, and they're not getting it, or not the kind of action they want from their elected politicians. Henry in Staten Island, you're up next. How are you, Henry?
Hi, how you doing? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's on your mind today?
The drones. Seems to be everybody stopped talking about the drones, and every night in Staten Island we see them flying all over the place.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the drones, and you're not the only place that drones are still being seen. Donald Trump and his administration kind of explained the drones. To me, they explained, but they didn't explain. They said, yeah, those were government. Government was aware of it. They didn't really tell us why the drones were flying, and no one is asking that question. You are 100% right about that, and yes, there are many drones still up in the air in many places across these great United States. Linda in New Jersey, you are up next. How are you?
Hey, James, your show is king. You need more time. Anyway, I would like to say that Justice Roberts was just exposed today as a member of the American Inns of Court, which is a shadow network of radical judges, and Judge Josh Berg is also in the club. So, I mean, this is really amazing. And you could find it on YouTube.
Oh, I've seen the story. I'm trying to confirm stuff before I run with that one. There's some things I want to confirm about. I've been reading about this, so I'm glad you called about it. Peter in Lakewood. Sandra, sorry we couldn't get to you and many others. We'll try again mañana. May God bless and protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved one. Love and gratitude, my friends, for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you, God willing, back tomorrow for the Tuesday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. Until then, my friends, I bid you adieu.
Take me out to the ball game. What are you doing? Did you know DirecTV has the most MLB games? So, you're singing. Yeah, they put your favorite teams front and center right when you turn it on. Buy me some cold cuts and flapjacks. Those aren't even the words. I'm allergic to peanuts.
Stream DirecTV, home of the most MLB games. Visit DirecTV.com. Claim based on total games offered on national and regional sports networks. RSNs available with choice package or higher. Availability of RSNs varies by zip code and package.
Bye.